funny-looking fish.
Wait here. Why don't you watch where you're going?
Sorry, Governor.
No harm. Go along.
Did Mr. Holmes tell you when he'd be coming back, Doctor?
Well, I expect he'll be back about 9 o'clock, Mrs. Hudson.
It's just striking 9 now, Dr. Watson. I have a beautiful roast beef in the oven, and I don't want it to burn.
Well, I'm sure it'll be delicious whatever time you have it, Mrs. Hudson.
I'm worried about Mr. Holmes. I fear he's gravely neglecting his health.
Yes. Oh, I quite agree.
He keeps working so very hard, and he eats next to nothing. Maybe it would be wise for him to see a doctor.
Oh, I think he's had enough of doctors with me as his fellow lodger.
A doctor like you deserves more obedient patience.
A housekeeper like you, Mrs. Hudson, deserves masters who can appreciate her cooking.
Fortunately, sir, you appreciate it, don't you?
I certainly do, if that's any consolation to you.
Help! Help!
What was that?
Help! Help!
Give me a hand.
Oh, but Mr. Holmes left orders that nobody should come in the house in his absence.
I can't help that. Get some water. Now, where's my bag?
It's down in your car.
Oh, so it is. Where is he?
In the bedroom.
Watson?
Holmes! Oh, you scared me half out of my wits, Mr. Holmes.
I thought I made it entirely clear that under no circumstances whatsoever was anybody to be allowed in here without my express permission.
But you looked as though you were dying.
There'll be no exceptions made, Watson.
Oh, good heavens, my roast!
Now, where's the shipping column?
Shipping column?
Hmm?
Now what are you doing?
I'm looking for the liner movements.
Liner movements?
Huh. Here we are. Asia, just docked. Karachi, Suez, Benghazi. What comes from Benghazi, Watson?
Arabs.
There were no Arabs on board.
Oh. A new case, Holmes.
An old friend of ours has been going to the docks recently and waiting about for all the ships coming from Benghazi.
Oh, an old friend? Who?
Moriarty. And I intend to find out why.
But Holmes, we all know that Moriarty is the greatest criminal in the country. Why don't the police do something about him?
Take care, Watson. If it should ever come to the professor's ear that you call him a criminal, you may very well find yourself sued for slander.
Oh, but we all know.
Knowing and proving something are two very different matters, Watson, as I need hardly remind you. It's my duty to bring him to justice.
But how do you propose to do that?
With the help of the Times. Everything I could possibly require to know is in the Times. It is the best informed and most reliable newspaper in the world.
Oh, yes. The most reliable.
Now, Watson, what is the purpose of the Times?
Why, to supply information.
Exactly. Also to advertise. That's why the advertisements are on the front page. None of this nonsense about sensational headlines to whet the reader's appetites. And then after the advertisements, what is the next most important thing?
Oh, the sports page.
Brilliant, Watson. The weather, the arts, the news, shipping news, and finally, yes, finally, politics. The Times is also the least obvious and the most efficient weapon that a man could possibly have. Now, pick up that dagger.
The dagger?
Yes, go on, pick it up.
All right. And now what am I supposed to do?
Try and hit me.
Hit you? Holmes, you feeling yourself
Oh,
today?
come along, Watson. There's nothing to worry about. You won't hurt me. Come along.
No, I can't. Oh, really?
Very well, then. Try it from over there. Now, here. Come on. Nothing to worry about, old man.
No, I'll tear your dressing gown, you know.
Watson, for the last time. Here. On guard.
All right, if you insist.
Help!
Don't move, Watson.
Oh!
You'd better keep the dinner warm, Mrs. Hudson.
Watson, get the morphine, quick. Mrs. Hudson, be good enough to telephone Scotland Yard as quickly as you can. Ask for Inspector Cooper and tell him I want him here immediately.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. Immediately.
Jenkins, who did this? Who did this to you? Hair.
This time you're going too far, Mr. Holmes.
How am I going too far, Inspector? I find a man stabbed to death on my doorstep, so quite naturally I sent for you.
Oh, we know all about this Jenkins. He served at least 12 sentences in prison. I have no sympathy with informers.
He may not have been a particularly respectable member of the community, Inspector, but he was of considerable help to us, and I trusted him.
Indeed, I'm sure you did, Holmes. But what's particularly interesting is that your private investigation has now been fatal to him.
That's a very serious accusation. Are you by any chance proposing to arrest me on a charge of murder?
Scotland Yard has often requested your help, as you know, Mr. Holmes. However, this time no request has been made. Under no circumstances can we sanction your undertaking private investigations without having received official authorization.
I'm not employed by Scotland Yard, Inspector. I'm a private citizen. I do what I believe to be right, and I'm prepared to accept all responsibility for it.
This country has a police force and a legal system for its citizens' protection, and nobody has the right to take the law into his own hands, Holmes.
You can only step in after a crime has been committed. I, on the other hand, do my very best to prevent it before it takes place.
You just proved how capable you are.
We're fighting a war with Moriarty, and I propose to continue it, with or without the sanction of Scotland Yard.
We would be more than pleased to cooperate, Holmes, if you would only inform us of your activity.
That's precisely what I'm doing. Professor Moriarty must be brought to justice.
Here we go again, Holmes, huh? You know, the last time you lectured me about that, professor of yours, I finally decided I ought to pay him a personal visit. We had a most interesting conversation.
About his criminal activities?
No, about archaeology.
Uh-huh. So you're an archaeologist, too.
I confess I didn't understand a word, but the professor is an excellent lecturer.
Have you been in his house?
Yes, it's extraordinary. Magnificent things in it.
Do you ever stop to ask yourself how he can afford all that on the salary of a university professor?
He comes from a wealthy family.
The professor's brother is a station master in the West Country. When he himself came to London, he didn't have a penny in his pocket, and yet he manages to spend at least £10,000 a year. Where do you suppose it comes from, Inspector?
From forgery, robbery, and burglary.
And murder. And I intend to prove it.
I think it might interest you to learn that Professor Moriarty happens to be on the list this year of those to be knighted. Would you accuse Sir James Moriarty of murder, Mr. Holmes?
It would give me the very greatest pleasure, Inspector, to see the knight hanged.
Take my warning, Holmes. You do not stand for the law. We do.
You're welcome to do so, Inspector. Good day.
Good day.
Cooper isn't really a bad detective, Watson. Just lacks imagination.
Why do you suppose Jenkins was killed while he was coming here?
He was bringing me some information.
It must have been pretty important information if somebody was prepared to kill him over it.
It was. He tried to tell me something before he died.
Yes.
His last word was hair, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
But then he did something strange with his hands. I've got it. Watson, come around here. Pick up the lamp, turn it round, so that the light shines on my hands. That's it. Now look at the wall. Look at the shadow. What's that make you think of?
A bird.
Go on. What kind of a bird?
Well, pretty large.
You're getting warm.
An eagle.
That's it.
A hare and an eagle.
A hare and an eagle. And what does that remind you of, Watson?
A public house.
Brilliant, my dear fellow. Positively brilliant.
George, when does your ship leave again?
Let's sit here, Watson.
What are we supposed to do now that we're here?
Patience, Watson, patience.
Well, I suppose we can have a drink or something.
Oh, yes, very well.
Yes, gentlemen?
2 half pints of bitter, please. Well, I wonder why Jenkins sent us here.
That's what we're here to find out, my boy.
Strange atmosphere in this place, you know.
2 half pints of bitter.
Those men over there, those sailors from the Thasia. If I remember correctly, our professor is more than interested in the Thasia.
Oh, you mean the ship from Benghazi?
Precisely.
Which room are they in?
Number 4. You stay here, Watson.
Wait a minute. I say.
Well, then he said he had to bring his mother along, too, and after all...
Well, hello there, sweetheart.
Hello.
How about a little drink?
Do I know you?
No, handsome, not yet, but we can fix that in a hurry.
Yes, I'm quite sure.
What do you drink? I'm partial to champagne. It puts me in the mood.
Well, you have what you wish. Yes, so order anything you wish.
You know, handsome, you're a real gent. I absolutely adore men who are shy, especially at your age.
Oh, I'm a married man.
Oh? All of the real men are already married, dearie. The ones who aren't are always the ones that nobody wants around. Champagne.
Champagne.
Mother must have been a very lively lady.
I feel like confiding in you. My mother's in the hospital. They tell me she needs an operation. Maybe you could help me.
Certainly I could.
You really mean it?
Of course.
Oh.
I'm a doctor.
Oh.
I'll operate on her for nothing. And I'll cut you up, too, if you like.
My goodness, you're a doctor. What are you doing in here?
Me? I am a spy. I watch people, and I follow people, and I listen at keyholes.
Come along, Watson, come along.
Oh, hello. I was just, where are we going?
We're going to listen at a chimney.
What did you say?
We're going to listen at a chimney. Quite logical, surely.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. We're going to listen at a chimney.
I hope you're satisfied with your room, Samuel.
Yes, it's quite comfortable. In comparison to the one I spent the last 6 years in, that is.
I've been waiting for you for a week.
If I had my way, I would have come back to London over 6 years ago, Professor. It's no fun being cooped up in prison in Egypt. It was pure misery. There were 6 long years. From morning to night, they keep you working on road construction in the sweltering heat.
Where is Harrison?
Dead, Professor.
Ah, but wasn't he on the face here?
Naturally.
One evening, he tried to push me overboard, but he slipped on the deck and fell overboard himself.
You must have given him a little assistance.
Yes, of course. After all, I was only defending myself. It was my life or his. He's no laugh. Let the fish have it.
Well, poor old Harrison. Samuels, I've located the man we're looking for.
The man we're looking for? Where is he?
Just one moment. First, we have things to discuss.
Supposed to, sweetheart.
Hey.
Think you're being just a little unreasonable, Professor?
Without me, the deal wouldn't exist.
Besides, I'm going to do all the dirty work.
I've worked out all the details. It'll be a very simple job.
Maybe a simple job, but only I can do it, Professor.
Those are my terms, Samuels. Take them or leave them.
60% for you. Not bad, Professor. When you consider what the Cleopatra necklace is going to bring.
I think you're forgetting what it cost me to arrange for your release from that chain gang.
The price I paid with those 6 years. But I suppose I have no choice. All right, what are the plans?
We must get rid of Blackburn first, and then you do your job.
Have you any idea what you're asking? Where is Blackburn?
In a house outside of London. It's not far from... Watson, you had your little joke. Now come along.
There was somebody listening. The police? I doubt it.
Well, Holmes, never take a clumsy old doctor along with you.
I got all the information I require, Watson. Blackburn, Thacia.
Well, up to now, there's been one murder.
No, two. One of the sailors on board the Thacia was stabbed to death and thrown overboard.
How do you know that?
Don't you ever read the Times, Watson? I've often advised you to do so when you want to know anything. Moriarty was after a man named Blackburn who lives in the country. He sent for two men from Africa, and one of them killed the other one. The question is, what is he after?
Well, hadn't we better turn the whole case over to Scotland Yard?
What case? The Jenkins case, they know all about that one. The Blackburn case, which hasn't even happened yet. And the Moriarty case, which they refuse to believe. Let's go.
Where are we going?
To the offices of the Times.
Here's your breakfast.
Oh, sorry, Mrs. Hudson, but we'll be back for lunch.
Thank you.
Just what are you looking for?
We have to find out when Moriarty was in Egypt, Watson. Ah. Oh, miss, would you please bring me volume 105?
One moment, I'll get it.
Thank you. We shall soon know.
Holmes, couldn't you be just a little less mysterious?
You know my methods, Watson.
Here you are.
Thank you. August, September. Now then. Ah, this is it. Here we are. Here. Huh? Discovery of Cleopatra's tomb. World experts in consultation. In El Fayum, a group of English and Egyptian archaeologists have discovered a tomb containing treasure. The tomb is believed to be that of Cleopatra. Professor Moriarty, eminent English archaeologist, etc., etc.
Yes, go on. Well, go on, Holmes.
Just a moment, Watson. Thefts of priceless treasure. Following the reported theft of priceless treasures from the tomb, two English engineers named Harrison and Samuels have been arrested. A third, Peter Blackburn, has disappeared at the same time as a casket of gold and precious stones containing a golden necklace which belonged to Cleopatra herself. Watson, we have to prevent another murder.
Holmes, I just don't know what you're talking about.
There isn't a moment to be lost, man.
Where are we going now?
To a delightful little Hertfordshire village by the name of Barnet.
A Hertfordshire village?
Peter's gun.
He's hunting again.
He should be stopped. If we don't stop him, we're letting a madman run wild.
He's as sane as we are.
And why doesn't he call the police if his life's threatened? Threatened by whom? Why doesn't he tell us?
I've no idea.
Why don't you let me take you away?
He's my husband. I can't just run away as if I were free.
No, but there's another way out. You don't owe Peter anything. His fears have killed his love for you, and besides, he's dangerous. I'd never forgive myself if anything happened to you.
What are we to do?
He got away.
Peter, why don't you confide in us? You've got to tell us what you're afraid of.
If you don't, we can't possibly help.
How often must I tell you my life is in danger? Why won't you or the police believe it?
You're seeing ghosts.
Ghosts? Ghosts that hide behind bushes and then drive away in cars?
Oh, but we do believe you. We do, Peter.
You need help, Peter. Not only from the police.
Yes. You mean a doctor, of course. Don't think that you're fooling me. I know exactly what you both would like. You're trying to find a way to get rid of me.
I can't go on like this any longer. We seem to be living in a trap. What and who are you afraid of? We hide away here in this terrible old house, but what are we hiding from? Won't you tell us what you're afraid of?